end up playing a turbo, anticipating a Shadow Priest Rogue. I mean, there could be a bunch of curveballs that come out from this blind pick alone, and this is a series that could be decided by the blind pick. And these teams have been tearing it up in North America for a long time. Method NA, Cloud9, these are the Titan names of the region. They've been reigning, and this weekend we'll get to decide who comes out on top.
It most definitely will. Both of these teams, you can bet, are going to be putting their best foot forward here in this series. It's game number 1, last series of the day, Method NA versus Cloud9.
All right, here we go. Kind of what we thought was going to happen from Method NA. They lock in Drake on the Assassination Rogue, Prev on the Shadow Priest, and Brain on the Shaman. And it has honestly looked really good for them in this match. I'm surprised Cloud9 didn't mix it up. But in that last game, their crowd control was on point. They got the burst damage available if they need it. But yeah, I'm really curious to see what Cloud9 does in this one. On paper, I'd feel like Method NA has an advantage, especially with how this matchup played out in the past. But I mean, both these teams just absolute titans in the region. The finals quite often is these two teams, and I mean, it's not a big surprise that this is what we're seeing in the upper finals.
I'm pretty sure that was actually the grand finals of last year, these two teams. So
yep,
definitely a lot of history between them. You know, Cloud9, they've had a tight chokehold on the NA region for a while, but then Method NA came along, and it's just been mostly about those two teams. But Drake here forces straight out an early trinket, Cloak of Shadows there. Cloud9 coming out with the first hit of damage right there. Now, Wealthyman in a kidney shot. Do you believe he had to use every man for himself right there? Blinks backwards. Cubsy trying to keep him alive. They're doing a fire onto Drake. They're just trying to bully Drake away from Wealthyman here. Nice Dragon's Breath coming in, hitting 3 members, as well as that Nova. And now Cubsy gets the restuff, going again in there to get the stun onto Drake. But Wealthyman almost proccing his cauterize. He's dangerously low here. The Siphon is in the backline. He's getting full value.
What?
Snuts kills it off, but they do get the ice block. Massive defensive cooldown here, forced out in the early stages by Method NA. It's time for Cloud9 to get something back fast before Drake has that cloak, or this game could just be running away from them before it even begins.
Ooh, that life grip from Prev pulls Drake back to the pillar right on the attack of Cloud9. That was wonderfully timed by Prev. Now Drake is going to survive the situation that might have been his life. He's going to re-stealth. Cubs is going to drink, try and prepare for potential late game, but he's got to get ready to protect Wealthyman as well. They've burned through so many cooldowns. He pops out the Adaptive Swarm Cenarian Ward, a great combo of heals to pick his target up, that being Wealthyman, along with Swiftman to extend it. That's going to easily deal with the Vendetta. Great positioning from Wealthyman. Oh, the death from above immunes Cubsy's first stun, but Cubsy finds a follow-up with that maim, trying to hold Drake in place here just a couple more seconds longer. Drake managing to get a full Fleshcraft is just going to absorb that entire attack with it as a result. Wealthyman pinned down once again. Smoke bomb and shackles. Wealthyman trinkets and blinks away from it. Now caught in a Garrote silence. Snuts is doing his best to try and get counter pressure, but he's interrupted by Brain's wind shear. Wealthyman drops down a Dragon's Whip, but here comes the Earth Elemental of Brain. He was holding on to that the whole game, waiting for this moment where Wealthyman has no cauterize and no ice block. And if this Earth Elemental connects along with Drake and Prev, it could be lights out for Cloud9 in game number 1. Wealthyman slips through, finds a polymorph on the Brain, but he pre-healing tide totemed the incoming polymorph, so it's going to do a lot of healing along with the dispersion here onto Drake and Prev. It's doing all of the healing while Brain is crowd controlled. They don't even take any damage after that dispersion. Here comes the full blind. Brain trying to move up aggressive and spam out some purges along with his team as well, I would imagine, here soon as we see the Covenant ability activate from Prev. He's still in the back foot, actually. He's going to have to retreat away along with Brain. Drake's trying to push forward. He's got Vendetta. He wants to go for it, but now he's intercepted by Cubsy's stun. And it looks like Drake isn't going to be able to connect too much damage just yet. Kidney Shot gets life gripped by Wealthyman, or by Snuts, sorry. Good life grip, pulling him out to safety. But Vendetta is rolling. Cubsy's going to Iron Bark it, try and stabilize. A Shadow Step interrupt and a reconnect with Death from Above by Drake. This Death from Above from Drake is something that we don't see too often. He's landing a lot of very good ones.
I mean, it just has a lot of utility. Not only is it a gap closer, but you can kind of use it as an immunity frame. And Drake's been doing a great job with it so far in the match. Brain trying to sit down for a drink, but that gets shut down by Wealthyman. You can see Cubsy's just been getting out of combat, drinking as much as he can in the matchup, and this is something Cloud9 is known for. They want to have that mana lead as the game goes on, and they've been doing a good job of it so far in the match, having a lot more pressure than I kind of anticipated. This is Wealthy Man's Combustion, but really not able to get too much done, unfortunately. Still about a minute left on Ice Block and 3 minutes left on Cauterize, so Wealthy Man still has to be very careful. Full kidney shot does land, as both Drake and Prev just ripping in with the Psy-Fiend. Big damage here on Wealthy Man, but it looks like he will be okay. Cubsy just powering in the heals with Innervate, and that's more than enough to keep Wealthy Man stable for the time being.
Yeah, and Prev actually takes a decent amount of damage here as well. He's going to go behind the pillar with Fleshcraft, and it looks like Snuts is going to swap his attention over to Drake here. Some damage coming in. Brain still in crowd control. No more Cyclones, though, for him. And it looks like they're just going to pull him off Drake here. Brain actually going for a Dispel there onto Prev. And Drake does find his way out of that CC. Kidney shot onto Wealthy Man. And now Drake potentially looking for the blind here. He has it back up. And now Wealthy Man actually going for a swap here on Prev. Prev trinkets, gets the Master Spell up. They get the resheep. Oh, Cubs is moving in. They have one more sheep. Cubs should have enough time to get a Cyclone here. Potentially, there's the Dragon's Breath into the DR Cyclone, but Cubs gets feared on it. Prev breaks up the chain there with his Greater Fate. Full kidney shot here onto Wealthy Man. And they're going to get a Hex onto Cubsy, actually. And Wealthy Man will decurse that, but just to get themselves an extra second of CC. And so far, this team, both of these teams are very evenly matched, but the big picture here, Wealthy Man finally has his Ice Block again. He's going to have his Cauterize as well in 45 seconds. Prev, though, takes a big chunk of damage. That's going to be his Dispersion, and it looks a lot better for Cloud9 right now when they are going after the Shadow Priest here. Get a Sheep onto Brain. Going after Drake a little bit with that. Actually chasing Prev here. Snuts pushes in. He gets a DR here onto Brain.
Nice
take
play.
it down, and they do. Snuts sees the opportunity there and just goes in and manages to close it out for his team. Excellently done.
Yeah, excellently done indeed. Cloud9 winning the first game of this series, of the last series of the day as well. So they're starting this one off right, and we're going to see if they can continue on with this winning streak heading into this next game. But we're going to break down all of the action first for game number 1 here, Zico.
Yeah, that was interesting. Snuts just kind of saw the opportunity. The rest of his team kind of just ducked away because Prev was just line of sighting everybody. Prev trinkets here. This is actually a while before the kill. Trinkets, he gets the Dispel, and then he just lines. They get the Fear here, and then they bring up the chain, and then Prev recovers. They get the Kidney Shot onto Wealthy Man. They get a little bit of pressure here, and they get the Hex here onto Cubsy. Wealthy Man dispels it, and that Siphon, I think, is actually shooting Wealthy Man a little bit there through the pillar. But both teams, they kind of recover, and then they push in for the next CC chain, and they get the Cyclone. There's a Siphon from Snuts. They stun up Prev in line of sight of the Siphon. They got the Combustion. This is an insane setup right here. They get the Dispersion. They get the Sheep. And then Cubsy is just trying to recyclone the Master Spell right there.
Watch the door.
Wealthy Man gets kicked. And look at that door. Snuts just doors in, gets the Double Fear. And then just Wealthy Man blinks in, finds a couple of hits as well there with Snuts. And they're just able to close it out there. And a little bit surprising, but they just extended their CC chain. It looked like they were kind of just giving up on the push when Cubsy stopped cycloning and ran back, but Snuts was not done.
Okay, well, for game number 2, do we think we see Method NA swap out their comp?
I think they're surprised right now. I feel like they were expecting to win that matchup. Like that's the exact matchup that they wanted to get, and they didn't win. I mean, Brain, I think, still had a trinket at the end of the game. He was just in this tough spot where it was like 3 other micro crowd controls just waiting for him to punish him on his trinket. But and maybe he didn't want to overlap it with Dispersion, but he died without being able to access it. Still had an out. That game still could have kept going and in their favor. So I think it's probably going to be the same comps from both sides in game 2.
Mm-hmm. Really fast draft process as well. What do you think about this, Sid?
Yes, I mean this is what I said. It's just going to be the same lock-ins. I think Method and A are just going to be like, all right, in that position, I'll trinket Link, maybe instead of Dispersion, or use both at the same time, but use something that when they have an option to keep the game going, because the Shaman can still definitely overwhelm the Druid in terms of mana in this specific matchup. I think maybe it's almost surprising that Cloud9 don't want to set up a turbo because every team has used Turbo as a good answer into Golden Guardians throughout the entire year. So if they knew that this comp was coming their way, which they would, since it's their pick, I'm surprised they wouldn't try and get a couple of wins utilizing that strategy. It also would remove the small maps away from Method NA as an option. If Cloud9 locked in, let's say, Hook Point, and then Method NA blind lock Shadow Priest Rogue, then Cloud9 could just turbo. I don't think it would be too bad for them. But they're pretty set on this Shadow Priest Mage Druid. Cubsy's on point today, so I'm not going to really count them out. I don't think it's a misguided decision with the way that they're playing.
Is Cubsy never on point? Like, isn't he always
Never
on
not
point,
on
though?
point.
Yeah.
Never not on point? Yeah.
Trying to think.
That's
Seems
true.
like-
I feel like we almost never criticize Cubsy. We're always just like,
Are we just Cubsy
Picking him up.
biased?
Maybe.
yeah, I
think
think he
he's
just
just
always
good.
plays good.
I think he's just
Yeah,
really
he's
good.
like Chan, you know, like there's never anything to criticize.
Caster curse
His
right now.
transmog's kind of lame. I don't know. I don't even know
though?
what his transmog. I don't know. I don't even know what it looks like. I just thought I would say something bad about him so we don't look too biased towards Cubsy or something. But either way, let's see if they can get another win here as we head into game number 2 on ASHAMANE'S. We saw what they did in that first game. Look at that. There's the guy himself, Cubsy, the man with the signature sunglasses as well. Mr. Cool, Mr. Calm, Cool, and Collected as well. If you guys have ever had the pleasure to meet him on LAN or anything, the dude is like literally, I think, the chillest person I've ever met. Like he's just like, it just seems like he always like knows what's up, knows what's going on.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean?
He's been such a definitely a really chill guy, super nice, but
Yeah.
just also a complete force when it comes to playing healer in this game.
Mhm.
Him on Restoration Druid is unbelievably impressive. Just the way he balances offense and defense. It's been a huge part of Cloud9's success, in all honesty. So having him in the back line, you know, getting those cyclones, going for the pushes, making sure you're just sitting back and healing when you need to. He just always seems to have the basically the perfect decision making. Definitely an all-star for that roster, but still,
Yeah.
they have their work ahead of them, or work cut out for them in these games. Method NA, I don't think they were super happy with that loss. I mean, you could tell this is the matchup that both of these teams wanted. Cloud9, they've kind of decided this is their best bet. Method NA, they still feel like this is the composition that's going to get them a win, and we'll have to see who can come out ahead. Looks like both teams definitely have a shot in this one, so it's just going to come down to those little outplays, who makes the better decisions, which team sets up a little bit better, and that's who's ultimately going to pull out a win.
Yeah, and we're gonna see Drake finds the tap onto Snuts here. Looks like he wants to go for the kidney shot onto Wealthy Man once again. And Cubsy just patiently sitting in stuff. He's gonna open up with the Innervate into Overgrowth. It's that big heal rolling. They get a sheep onto Drake to go after Prev immediately here. Brain actually gets pulled back here. Now Drake left behind, gets swapped too, but a nice wind shear there onto Snuts. Gonna stop his damage. And they did get Prev's trinket there, and that was Drake's Vendetta. Not out of the woods just yet. Still needs some healing there, but Cubsy actually does trade his trinket for the blind. Drake gets Cyclone. So one win for Method NA to win the game, or one opportunity for Method NA to win the game, is if they straight up all in Cubsy. Maybe the next time they have Vendetta, or the next time they have big pressure in general. But it's going to be a tough way to do. It's going to be a tough thing to do, especially on this map. So right now, I don't think there's a clear advantage in any direction. I think the game is just slowly going in C9's favor since they did get that trinket from Prev.
All right, let's see what they can get done here. Cyclone on Drake. Cubsy's moving forward in cat form. Looking like he wants to get aggressive. Another Cyclone on Drake, holding the Rogue in a bad position. Cubsy stuns Drake. Prev pulls him away, realizing that would be devastating. And the Psyfiend is actually getting some pretty big value on Drake at the moment. Doesn't look like anyone's able to kill it off. They're trying to go aggressive in the face of the Psyfiend. Prev dropping in a lot of damage in onto Snuts, now activating his Psyfiend. Snuts getting a greater fade. Nature Swiftness, they cut through it. They force Iron Bark now as well from Cubsy here. And they're going to swap off the Iron Bark, attack Wealthy Man closer to the pillar, and make sure that they don't overextend in this position. And getting Iron Bark and Fade in the same go is definitely a win here for Method NA if they can get back on target. And if Brain is also running that Earthquake Elemental Legendary again, and I think that he is running it, so that next Earth Elemental launched out by Brain could get some big value.
Yeah, definitely. Prev right now under fire. Needs to be very careful, getting dangerously low. They shred through the Fleshcraft, and he still needs to run and hide. The pressure coming in from Wealthy Man and Snuts is a bit surprising. In all honesty, we've never really seen Method NA this kind of forced into a defensive posture. Snuts is just doing massive damage on that Shadow Priest, as Wealthy Man has been the main target in the match. Snuts has to carry the offense, and when Combustion's available, that's when they can get really, really, really aggressive. Ring of Fire drops down for Wealthy Man, just kind of slowly burning down Brain and Prev, but looks like they should be able to easily heal through that damage. Cubsy moves forward, gets a full stun. Double Dragon's Breath into a potential Polymorph, force the Master Spell by Prev. Finds it immediately. There's going to be no interrupt, and as a result, the setup is wasted, and Drake can now get aggressive with a kidney shot on Wealthy Man.
Beautiful positioning there by Prev to land that Master Spell. He kind of sniped it around the corner, so Wealthy Man didn't even have the chance to counterspell him unless he had a blink available, which he obviously didn't because he just used it. So for Wealthy Man, he's going to look for the sheep here. Once again, he gets Dragon's Breath. He gets kicked on it, though, by Drake. He might go for the Ring of Frost here. They do get it, but Brain with a nice timed Fleshcraft right there is able to avoid the crowd control. Cubsy looking for the Cyclone, gets silenced on it. Wealthy Man in a kidney shot. Here comes Wayne on that Rock Elemental, doing some damage here onto Wealthy Man as well. Snuts just in the backline trying to create the most amount of pressure possible. Wealthy Man actually does land a sheep right there, but it does get Master Spelled by Prev. Prev has all of his cooldowns back, and mana pretty tied between these two healers. I would say Cubsy, though, definitely more likely to need a drink compared to Brain. And Wealthy Man once again getting pressured big time here. Might just proc his Cauterize. They do, and they get the Ice Book, and they get the Iron Bark, and they get the Master Spell here. They could continue the chain. Drake just got his Vendetta off cooldown. He's got his Smoke Bomb ready, and this is the Combustion. They need to get something going with that, but Drake is there with the Silence. And now I am very, very afraid for Wealthy Man here these next couple of minutes, or this next kidney shot even could be very, very scary, maybe even scary enough to close out the match if it is.
Oh, Drake got instantly cloned on his Vendetta, but even still with the clone on his Vendetta, tons of pressure coming down onto Wealthy Man. Cubsy stunned up into a silence. Drake is trying to get back to his target. If that Cyclone actually didn't connect, I actually think Wealthy Man might just be dead right now. Maybe he's going to die anyways with these purges coming in, but Drake is switching targets, going after Snuts now instead, trying to burn the rest of Druid's mana by having heal over time effects applied to 2 targets, and now a kidney shot onto Snuts, pressuring for that dispersion. Can they find it? Wealthy Man blinks in, and Dragon's Breath trying to find crowd control. Prev intercepts with the Fear. Snuts is forced into dispersion. Siphene got some value on that dispersion, though it's not a full recovery. Cubsy's getting poked down as well in the back line, trying to recover at the pillar, now using Fleshcraft to anticipate some crowd control, maybe even a swap to himself. Brain's moving forward, Lava Burst damage coming in as well. Kidney shot on Wealthy Man, but Cubsy stops Drake's damage with a Rake Stun during his own kidney shot. Nice shutdown from Prev onto Cubsy's Cyclone here. Drake's trying to get some uptime. Pretty tough to do. Silence now onto Cubsy as we see Cloud9 retreating on the outskirts of the map. Brain and Prev chasing them down. These are the 2 titans of North America going head-to-head in the semifinals. Winner is going to claim a spot in the grand finals tomorrow. Loser's going to have to battle it out in the lower bracket. Who's going to take it in Season 2? Right now, Snuts still on the back foot, even with Iron Bark. Nature's Swiftness comes in for a big heal. Cubsy is going to be able to restabilize. Now, Prev falling behind. Remember, in game number 1, Cloud9 switched their attention to Prev and really blasted him out. I'm curious to see if they decide to do that strategy again in game 2.
Ooh, Wealthy Man getting really low. Cubsy, keep in mind, there is no Iron Bark, there's no Nature Swiftness, there's no Ice Block. Wealthy Man has to be very careful, but they pause out the game with Polymorph on Drake. Snuts doing everything he can to try to keep his team in the fight. Silence on Cubsy. All 3 members of Method NA, they need to swarm Wealthy Man. This is their opportunity. There's no cooldowns whatsoever for Cloud9. If they keep up this aggression on Wealthy Man, they might be able to pull out a win and tie up the series, but doesn't look like they're able to just yet. It's going to be Prev who's blasted back at the pillar, but I'd really like to see Method NA just throw caution to the wind and just train down Wealthy Man at this point of the game. I feel like this is their game to lose at this point.
Ooh, Snuts actually had to trade out his dispersion right there as well. So right now, things are not looking good for C9. They're going to need to do some extensive kiting here to try to get away. Drake, he's got everything he needs. He's got his cloak, he's got his Vendetta, he's got his Smoke Bomb. He just needs to pick a target. Wealthy Man tries to push the first punch here. He gets the combustion off, but it doesn't do anything. And here we go. Kidney shot, Vendetta. Smoke Bomb is available as well if he wants to use it. Cubsy actually trinkets out I don't know what that was actually, but he won't have trigger for the next blind, that's for sure. Even if they do survive in about a minute from now, it's going to be a big kill opportunity here for Method NA once again. So Method NA definitely in a driver's seat here. They're going to go after Drake now. There's the push. There's the setup. Do they have the damage to back it up? That is the question. Brain no longer in crowd control. Snut's going to be the target of choice here. He's got no dispersion. There's the greater fade. Cubs is trying to do what he can here to keep Snuts alive, but they have the smoke bomb available. Snuts maybe doesn't even have his human racial force, and there it is, smoke bomb coming out with the shiv on him as well. Snuts though manages to recover. There's the iron bar finally connecting for Cubsy, and Cubsy has not had a chance to breathe this game so far, but now finally no Cloak of Shadows on Drake. He cannot be aggressive any longer. They sheep up Drake. They're going after Prev once again. Prev has no trinket. They actually swap over to Brain here. Big swap onto Brain. Brain might just go down here. He gets a trinket off and the astral shift, but a close call there. Now Wealthy Man forced to use his ice book there as Drake decides to push back once again. So back and forth between these two teams. It could really go either way, but I would say C9 a little bit on the back foot, but finally they're given an opportunity to drink maybe and reset for a second.
Combustion was launched out there by Wealthy Man. Doesn't net too many significant cooldowns, unfortunately, for his side, but this is a good opportunity for Cloud9 to drink, regenerate their mana, and Cubsy is going to gain a substantial amount. But in the meantime, they're going to trade Dispersion for the drink. It does at least go 1-for-1 with the Vendetta as well. More than a fair trade here for Snuts. Drake's going to pull back to the pillar. Method NA, they need to get mana on their healer Brain. If they want to win, they're going to need Purges, Lava Bursts, and that Earth Elemental, I believe, to be able to overwhelm Wealthy Man. That's what got Cauterized and Ice Block the first time. Now he doesn't have those for options. If Brain can connect an Earth Elemental and a lot of damage along with his team, Wealthy Man could be overwhelmed here. But at the moment, Method NA, they're not able to find any drinks. Snuts is on the right side. Wealthy Man's on the left, just poking in. Is Brain going to get some mana here? Wealthy Man moves forward, just Living Bomb, put him in combat, and make sure that he doesn't get mana to purge. Prev's pushing forward along with Drake, getting aggressive. Wealthy Man intercepts with Dragon's Breath, gets silenced on his polymorph. They're trying to shut down the mage as much as possible, just overwhelm Snuts. They get greater fade out of the way here onto Snuts. They set up for a stun on Drake behind the pillar, trying to punish him for overextending. Is he going to get punished here? 1 second left in the stun, popping out the feint, reducing damage significantly, and he won't be going down in that moment. But I like the play by Cloud9 trying to punch that positioning. Here comes the Earth Elemental out from Brain. This is where they need to get aggressive and close out the match. Can Method NA win the game with this Earth Elemental here? Just pounding away at Snuts. Pressure on Wealthy Man as well. Cubsy's Innervate is available exactly when he needs it to get free healing during this massive influx of damage. And with that Innervate, it's allowing him to stabilize and not spend the remainder of his mana. But that Earth Elemental is still active. Innervate is over, and the dots are starting to really sink in for the side of Method NA. So deep into dampening. Greater Fade forced out from Snuts. Silences onto Wealthy Man, just trying to stop any potential pressure. And Snuts is getting overwhelmed, dying through Dispersion. Method NA looks solid in game 2.
I mean, this is kind of what we expected from this matchup, from what we've seen in the past. I mean, Method NA, they're just able to hold on. All three of them just look like it's so difficult to take them down. Somehow, Cloud9 managed to find a win in that game number 1, but Method NA played it out kind of standard. In this one, their damage just comes in overwhelming later on in dampening, and it just seemed like their game to win throughout the entirety of it. So props to Method NA for tying this one up. Now Cloud9, it's going to be their map pick and their composition pick. Do we think they're actually going to switch it up? Because I would say I don't know if they have really a better option.
Yeah, that's a good question. We'll see when we get there, but for now, we are in a replay town. I personally, I think a matchup can go either way, but I feel like in game number 1, Method and they kind of gave it away. So I don't know. I think Cloud9 kind of have to swap out, and if they don't, it's kind of telling. This series, it looks like it will be in favor of Method NA if they don't have an option, but it is Cloud9. They have a lot of options. Maybe nothing specific against RPS though. It's not the most meta thing to play. Aside from the Golden Guardians, like nobody else really runs it. But yeah, I mean, here they just they realize, okay, we've stalled. We have Brain Trinket again. We can feel confident to push in, and they get the pressure that they need. I mean, Cubsy has no Trinket, and they got the full Shackle as well. So just a matter of time at this point before they get run down like that.
Look at the damage.
Snuts could have dispersed a little bit earlier though, and it probably would have been okay. But
look at Prev and Drake's damage though, and just in comparison, it's actually insane. Look how much more healing Cubsy's having to do in this match in order to stabilize. And I mean, that's where that dampening advantage really comes in, because at the beginning, it seems like Cubsy can kind of deal with it, but as his healing gets reduced, all the damage, Prev and Drake, that's when they start paying dividends. That's where you see pressure and mistakes start rolling in from Cloud9, and yeah, it becomes really, really difficult.
Yeah, they definitely weren't making it easy for Cubsy. And now we've got a tied up series. And I'm going to throw the question back at you, Elliot, since you were asking it at the end of that game. Do you think that we see Cloud9 switching it up?
They could. I mean, in the past, we've seen Turbo Cleave do well into the Shadow Priest Rogue, so we've seen Wealthy Man. I don't know if they haven't practiced, but probably would have been a good option for them with Wealthy Man on the Enhancement Shaman, Cubsy on the Paladin, and Snuts on the Warrior. We've seen them run that into this composition in the past and win, in particular against the Golden Guardians. So definitely an option for them. I feel like at this point they maybe want to try the same thing. We're going to Ruins of Lordaeron, so that would tell me, so there's two things that could be going on here. Maybe they want to kind of eliminate the pillars from Method NA. They feel like they can overwhelm them with all the God Comp crowd control. But they could also just be going full Zug, bring in the Warrior, bring in the Enhancement Shaman, and try to just beat Method NA, then all out cleave composition. So bring in the cleavers, overwhelm Prev and Drake in the match, and that's when they could maybe find victory. And it would be intelligent, because you might as well take advantage of your map and composition picks when you can. I feel like if we see the Shadow Priest Mage again, it's likely going to go in favor of Method NA. So I'd like to see Cloud9 throw a curveball here.
And in this particular matchup, oh, there we go. We can talk about that instead. Look at that. Cloud9. How do we feel about this comp?
Zug.
Zico. Zug. Yeah, we can just...
Yeah.
There we go.
That's the analysis. Zug.
Yeah.
They play it actually.
Just the entire... Go ahead.
What's interesting about Cloud9 and the way they play this composition is they play it different than you normally see. Like, normally Cleaves, they just go after the Shadow Priest, right? You just train down the Shadow Priest, but they play it different. They actually go after the Rogue. So this is where Drake could really be tested on his Rogue, as we know him traditionally as a Windwalker Monk. I mean, he's been phenomenal at Warrior, Rogue, and Windwalker. But, if you're not playing well defensively, Cloud9 might be able to capitalize on that. They go for Storm Bolts on the healer with a Hammer of Justice on Drake, and that's when they kind of get damage rolling. So Prev, if he's on point with Mass Dispelling out the Hammer of Justice, that could be vital for them to survive. But I definitely expect Cloud9 to play really aggressive in this one.
Yeah, you can bet they're going to be willing to trying to make a comeback here in this series, try and get ahead. If they win this one, they're on match point, which would set themselves up very, very nicely here in this series. This was their map choice, so let's see what they can do. They get the map choice as well as that counter comp, so we'll have to see if this switch up is going to work in their favor. On the side of Method NA, though, what do we want to see be looking out for, Zico?
For them, it's got to be between Drake and Brain. They can never really overlap their trinkets. Nobody can really overlap their trinkets. They need to have really, really good defensive rotations to never really get caught down, for those big Stormbolt kill potentials that are going to happen onto Drake. In addition to that, offensively, I think it depends, but it's a comp that likes to swap around a lot. So in general, if you have good pressure on both DPS, that's when RPS really gets a chance to kind of snowball the game. But the most important thing is definitely the defensive aspect for them. If they ever fall behind defensively, it's really, really hard to recover. So I would say they can rotate that well. There's hope.
There's hope.
There's
Okay,
hope
well,
in
let's
this matchup,
see.
yeah.
Yeah, let's see if they can do that. Game number 3 here. Both of these teams only 1 point on the board. So winner of this third game here is going to be the team that's on match point. It's Ruins of Lordaeron, 1-1 currently between Method NA and Cloud9. Super Tees.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely the comp, I think, to do it, as the Shadow Priest Rogue Shaman has been struggling with Turbo time and time again. So I like this move from Cloud9. Lock in the Shadow Priest on the big maps, because Turbo on the big maps in the Method NA is probably going to be them in shambles, and that's going to be their line of play throughout this series. If Method NA can take this game away, though, And I'm starting to get really worried for Cloud9 because their cleave composition, which is the option that has worked really well into this comp, might not work anymore. So I am very curious to see how this plays out. Can they overcome the enhancement shaman warrior on the side of Method NA? Or are they going to crumble on Runes of Lordaeron the same way that we've seen the Golden Guardians crumble to this composition throughout this entire year? These teams are so well versed in different strategies and different compositions that it is such a treat to watch them go head to head. It is very impressive. They've basically got the entirety of World of Warcraft under their fingertips. They've got the Infinity Stones of World of Warcraft Arena all together, and then they clash, and it's always an exciting series to watch. And right now it's looking like either of them could take this entire thing this weekend. So who's going to come out ahead as we're just still going through the fly-through? I'm kind of envisioning Cloud9 winning this here, but it's going to be a nail-biter.
Here we go. All-out aggression from Cloud9. I do expect them to go after Drake in this one. They need to win this map pick. And if they can, then they can always reliably... If they win this, then going to Game 5, they can go back to this composition. If Method NA wins this, then I feel like they're looking really, really good. So this entire series could come down to this game. We'll definitely have to wait and see. I expect Cloud9 to just basically train down Drake the entire game, try to get a stun on Brain, try to get a stun on Drake, and just go with all-out aggression. I'm really curious to see if Method NA can handle the pressure.
All right, let's see it here. Can Method handle the pressure? Cloud9 bringing in their infamous turbo cleave here, and we're gonna see Cubsy. You gotta hand it to him. He looks very, very stylish on that cow, and he's gonna get sapped though. Wealthy Man in a full kidney shot here. Let's see, Void Eruption coming out from Prev. Big damage coming out here. There's the power infusion immediately connected here, and Wealthy Man not really going to trade too much, but Snuts as well, dropping kind of low here. Cubsy has to heal 2 members at once, and he will, without any issues, top both of his teammates there. And now this is the chance for the Harvester to come online. Here we go. There's the Storm Bolt. There is the Kyrian Spear Brain, and no Grounding Totem or Fleshcraft there. Wealthy Man, look for the Hex here. Can he find it? Doesn't look like it. There's the double Blinding Light. Nice kick here from Drake into the blind onto Cubsy. Cubsy can trinket out. And they're not actually going to get anything they came for on the side of C9. They didn't get a single trinket from Method NA. So this is great defense by them. And so far, I would put them ahead.
All right. Can they keep the lead here? Mana is going to be a problem for Cubsy in this matchup. But here's Ascendance popped by Wealthy Man. Triple fear by Snuts. Drake trades evasion. Do they have a way to punish it? It doesn't look like it. Evasion gets high value here, avoiding all of the attacks. Now they swap over to Prev, trying to chop him up with a full Hex, pummeling him on a cast. They bop Wealthy Man to get him out of crowd control and reconnect some damage with both Prev and Drake low. Brain pops Ascendance to recover. Drake slips through with a Fleshcraft behind the pillar, but Prev is now the target. On the back foot, interrupted multiple times. Silence on the Cubsy. Method NA try and turn this around, but with only a silence, I don't think it's likely that we see a target going down. Snuts with an excellent disarm, removing Drake's daggers as Vendetta was popped, but now the disarm's over. They follow with a Stormbolt, but Cubsy doesn't feel comfortable. He trades Sacrifice. Doesn't look like it's the ultimate sacrifice, so there's a preemptive trade on the Vendetta, maybe trying to anticipate some crowd control, and he manages to stabilize the team, but at the expense of quite a lot of mana. If Method NA can hold on as they are, I could see them winning this game on mana.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see if they can do it right now. They are holding on. Prev gets interrupted, though. They need to be very, very careful. It's a good time to get interrupted, though, when Wealthy Man is into a kidney shot, into a dismantle. So great peels coming in from Drake. They're actually going after Cubsy, so a bit of a three-pronged approach here by the side of Method NA, just trying to get pressure on literally everybody if they can. Furthermore, Totem drops down by Brain, trying to keep his team nice and healthy. Cubsy dispels himself into a Psychic Horror. It's going to be Wealthy Man into a kidney shot. He's forced to trinket out. Big pressure coming in. Big harvest there by Wealthy Man as well. But there's a smoke bomb. Cubsy needs to get in line of sight. Wealthy Man manages to escape it. And it looks like the side of Cloud9 will be able to stabilize the Vendetta from Drake. Really trying to get the pressure rolling. But at this point, it seems like both teams are alive. Method NA needs to be very, very careful, though, as Drake is down to about 40% health. And we've seen Wealthy Man throw some crazy burst on that enhancement shaman, so you always got to be on your toes when playing against this composition.
Yeah, but so far they still haven't managed to actually force any big defensives here. Drake, though, dropping kind of low, but he does get a big heal in the backline. Waterman's in a kidney shot. And slowly but surely, I think Method and A are just running away with this game. Drake's doing a fantastic job here, kiting. He pre-feints the Stormbolt here. Nice Earthen Wall Totem by Brain. Can they get Drake back up? Oh, that is the question. Siphon in the backline. Snut's going to leap over to try to kill it. He gets disarmed. He has to trinket the disarm just to kill the Siphon here defensively. Not a situation you want to be in. There's a kidney shot. No smoke bomb though to follow it up, but another blessing of protection forced out. And that's going to be the last one here for Cubsy. Only has the sacrifice left really to work with and that Divine Shield. So cooldowns definitely looking thin. This is a setup that needs to get them some cooldowns. Nice Panda Rachel though by Prev onto Wealthy Man. During that stun lock, Prev just walked up to Wealthy Man and pandaed him, stopping all the pressure and saving anybody from having to use their trinkets. Method and A are just on fire right now.
Pandaren and Rachel getting some value in the tournament this weekend, but at the moment, Cloud9 fall further behind with their mana dwindling down to almost nothing at this point. How will they stay alive in the fight facing Method NA? They're looking to move to match point here and try and close this series out as we see a Hex defensively on Wealthy Man just break immediately into a kidney shot silence. Nice combo of crowd control, isolating Wealthy Man, blasting him down below half. Lava bursts are flying in from downtown from Brain as well. Snuts is getting cleaved. Cubsy struggling, but his Avenging Wrath came off cooldown. Avenging Wrath, big heal, topping the whole team. Now he gets aggressive, but Brain immunes the crowd control with Fleshcraft. Cubsy's gonna have to stay on top of Brain a little bit longer. They use Roots just to try and slow his advance, but a double blinding light, huge value by Cubsy. He's in position to hammer the trinket, hammers down onto Brain. Drake trades evasion, kidney shots the Hex, Master Spell out of the Hammer of Justice, good recovery by Method NA, and here comes Vendetta. Massive damage onto Wealthy Man. He's trying to get aggressive over onto Prev with Ascendance, and disarming Drake here was excellently timed again by Snuts. Wealthy Man still on the back foot. Cubsy has absolutely zero mana left. Prev moves in, gets a fear. Wealthy Man instantly tremors it, but Cubsy needs to get a drink. How is Wealthy Man going to heal? He's in a stun with no trinket. Cubsy moves back, but now he's in a cheap shot, and now unbelievably, Method NA have done it. They are going to move to match point despite the comp disadvantage.
Yeah, I mean, Method and A, they're just so impressive. It just seemed like anything Cloud9 was able to throw at them that game, they always had an answer, not really overlapping into the defensive cooldowns. I mean, even if you look at the end of that game, Brain, he still had his Trinket, he still had Spirit Link, basically all his defensive cooldowns, and it was actually really, really nicely done by the side of Drake as well. During that scary moment, during that double blinding light into the Hammer of Justice on Brain, Drake just played it calm, cool, collected. He had Vanish, but he ended up not using it, just trading out the evasion, knowing he'd be safe. And then it was actually that Vanish that he held on to that allowed them to close out the game.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, it's what we said at the start as well. It's just the defensive play in the RPS. If you're never overlapping your trinkets and you're staying on top of things, you can definitely just have so much pressure that you just run away with the game. And you know, in their credit, Method and A, the only person who even used that trinket this game was Prev. The whole game, Brain had his trinket, and so did Drake. And that's because they just dismantled every single one of these goes perfectly. And then here, of course, at the end, they just have so much pressure. Cubsy's completely out of mana. He has the impossible decision to make here. I need to go and drink, but I also need to keep my teammates alive. He goes for a couple of heals. With his absolute last bit of mana, he gets feared. He gets tremored out. And then here, his team is doing a setup. So he has to go for a drink here. Otherwise, he's going to have nothing left. But Wealthy Man gets caught up in a kidney shot. There's a Siphon. They disarm Snuts into another stun, so he can't kill off the Siphon. And then, of course, they are able to take him down with Drake as well. Just teleporting away there for that cheap shot just to make Cubsy waste a little bit more of his time.
And this is why this team is just so impressive time and time again. They've taken situations that seem almost impossible for them, very difficult situations, and they turn them around in their favor, as we're seeing just now. So now they are on match point. They only have to win this next one, and they're going to move on to the grand finals, and that would be incredible for them, for such a new young team being able to best a team such as Cloud9. So Cloud9, they're really going to have to figure something out as we move into this potentially the last game of the day here. And I'm going to ask you once again, Ben, is it MLD time?
I don't know. It seems like they're kind of gotten away from MLD a little bit. It used to be, Cloud9 used to be all about MLD. They'd lock it in no matter what. And it would basically be the only way they switch off of it if they're 0-2 down in a series. So maybe they've lost a little bit of faith of it in that composition. But yeah, I'm curious to see if they do make any adaptations. I don't know if I really like the cleave. I feel like if we go to a small map, it's likely they go with the cleave once again. If we go to a big map, then that's kind of telling that they'll go with the Shadow Priest Mage. But I feel like either way, I'm not super convinced. It just seems like Method NA with this comp playing the triple Necrolord, it makes them very, very durable. They got a lot of damage. Seems to answer pretty well into the cleave if you're not overlapping your defensives, and into the caster cleaves, which Cloud9 is kind of known for. In the long game, it definitely seems like they have an edge. So this is at the beginning of the day something I talked about. It seems like Method NA, for the teams that they play against, they just always have one comp. They've just calculated what's the one comp that'll just beat everything they can do, and then they just have that and they just lock it in and play it all 5 games, and they end up winning more often than not. So Method NA obviously feeling confident in this one. They're going to play the same composition I would expect in the blind pick. It's going to be up to Cloud9 to make a change, and maybe we see the Frost Mage. But I'll tell you one thing: Frost Mage is not super popular right now, so I would be really I'd be surprised to see it.
Just throw in Arcane.
That's not going to happen. The Frost Mage is a possibility. The Arcane Mage is not going to happen.
No, but I mean, you do make a good point. It'd be interesting. That would be an interesting stat to collect. We're getting more and more of that data sort of gathered that we can present here on stream. It would be interesting to get like the average amount a team will composition swap during a match and see how that compares to everybody else. But Cloud9 now locking in a caster cleave on Empyrean Domain, Super Tees.
Yeah, so they're not sold on the turbo. I think the strategy Method NA employed, just run the Paladin out of mana, was too much for Cloud9. They want to get Cubsy back on Druid. They know game 1 looked really good for them. I mean, they won the game 1 game, so locking in a big map, getting Cubsy back in onto the Druid, I don't think is unsurprising now based on that previous result. But Method NA could just close it out 3-1 and be in the finals for the grand finals tomorrow, and Cloud9 will go down to the lower bracket, and Cloud9 is going to be a terror down there, I think, for UNITAS and for the Golden Guardians. But at this point, every team is a terror, right? We're looking at the top 4, the elite 4 of each region. These are the teams that you would not want to fight, so you got to deal with it at this point. But right now, Method NA seem to have NA locked down.
It's like picking the lesser of 2 evils down in the lower bracket. Like, who? I don't want to play either of these teams, but who would I not rather play? I don't know. But yeah, either way, I think we're going to be getting this game started very soon, but it may just be the last game of the day if Method NA keeps this up. So if you are in chat right now, we'd love to hear who you think is going to win this series and who wins this next game. It's Method NA versus Cloud9. Method NA is on match point here.
All right, here we go. I mean, this is Cloud9's last chance to avoid that lower bracket. Well, we're going to be zooming into a new one. They're going to have one more opportunity to load in, but still, the sentiment stays. Cloud9, this is kind of their last opportunity to put a point on the board. Otherwise, they're going to be going down to the lower bracket, not the place you want to be in. And even if you win, here's the thing that's so important to remember. Even if they win in the lower bracket, they need to once again play against this team. So they need to be gathering as much information as they can, as even if they lose then win, Method NA will be the final boss for them. So these teams have to figure each other out. It seems like Method NA has a slight lead right now. Cloud9, they're going to be trying to battle it back with the Shadow Priest, Fire Mage, Druid. They had a crazy upset on game number 1. I really didn't expect them to win that matchup, but they were able to pull it off. And I think they've had a pretty good showing today overall. So they definitely are still not out of it.
Oh, hello. We're back at the desk. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, I think we're going to get that group reformed. As you guys know, as long as the team leaves before the gates are open, they are allowed to leave and reform. Sometimes they pop cooldowns earlier or have their keybinds messed up. Who knows what exactly is going on, but we're going to get back into that game as shortly as possible. But, I mean, yeah, we already said it. This could very well be the very last game of the day, but we know Cloud9 has pulled off the impossible many times before. This is definitely a team that is no stranger to the struggle. I feel like they pull off a lot of incredible victories where they were kind of the team to beat for quite some time. And whenever someone would figure out how to beat these guys, they immediately just bounced back and adapted like mid-series. So we may see that happen here as we go into Empyrean Domain, or we see Method NA win 3-1. But yeah, Ven's definitely right, because even if Cloud9 does make it back up to the grand finals and has a rematch against these guys, they're going to have to play it again. So hopefully they will learn from this. But let's see what they've got in store here for Method NA. Looks like we're getting back in that game. It's game number 4. Method NA super close to winning this one 3-1.
All right, let's see if they can do it here. Cloud9, definitely a big battle ahead of them. First, they need to win here, and then they need to potentially win on an even worse map against comp that they have had some issues with. Method NA, this is the situation they want to be in. They have one game to lose and one more game even after that. They hold all the cards. They just need to win it here, and then they will advance to the grand finals. Both of these teams could very likely be facing each other again in the grand finals. Whoever loses here might just go down and clean sweep that lower bracket. These are the absolute titans that NA has to offer. And right now, Drake is taking his time here to open. He's going to get a sap onto Wealthy Man, actually. See what they decide to do with this. He's going to go ahead and just open onto him after that sap. He gets a nice cheap shot there onto Snuts, though. And Prev, though, unable to find the crowd control there onto Snuts. Snuts actually going to be the one who wins that duel. And now they get a Dragon's Breath into Ring of Frost here. They're going for the CC chains. Prev is in a pretty bad spot here. They stun him up. And Brain actually manages to avoid that CC chain, I believe, with his Fleshcraft. Or maybe with his Grounding Totem. Brain able to stay out of crowd control means Prev is going to be completely fine. Nobody on this side of Method NA is going to have to use anything, and it is going to be Snuts on the back foot here. The Rock has been called in, Snuts taking massive damage, and that is going to be the dispersion forced out on the checklist. Super Keys.
All right, let's see. They're swapping over to Wealthy Man, keeping the pressure going onto 2 targets here. That Earth Elemental always getting some value, although they committed it to the Shadow Priest, not the Mage. But it's going to last for some time as they go back to Wealthy Man. Big heals coming through. Cenarian Ward with full heal over time effects. I don't think Wealthy Man is going to be dying through this Cenarian Ward as Cubsy repositions, trying to bait Drake behind the pillar. But Drake is not overextending. He's actually using the pillar to line of sight Snuts and poke at Wealthy Man at the same time. Cubsy going into cap farm. I think they just want to wait out the Earth Elemental. They stun Drake, but Drake gets pulled away behind the pillar. Love that life grip. Now they immediately go back out with the Shadow Step. Kidney Shot, Lava Burst. Look at the damage right now. It's match point. Cloud9 can't afford to lose, but that was their entire defensive lineup just blown out.
I mean, that was an overwhelming amount of damage. Wealthy Man has basically nothing left in order to survive. So if we see Method NA pull out a setup like that once again, things aren't going to be looking too good. Double Dragon's Breath potentially coming in. Wealthy Man pops out his combustion, but oh no! Can't get anything going with it. A complete waste. Prev just manages to line of sight. He just gets out of line of sight, gets a Master Spell on Brain, and Cloud9 loses out on a huge hit of momentum. Very unfortunate for them. And now I feel like Method NA, you are not afraid to make a push. The Fire Mage with no combustion is not going to be a threat. He's in a full kidney shot. Look at this huge shield from the Triune Ward, which ultimately will keep Wealthy Man alive. But I feel like if Method NA can continue to make a push, we'll be able to develop that momentum that we normally see. Cubsy down to 50% mana right now. Gets a bash over onto Drake. And it's been difficult for them to actually connect to their target. But Drake is now there. This is the moment. They need to just spam Dispel, go after Wealthy Man. Right now, Cloud9's in trouble. This is the double shimmer by Wealthy Man. And without any more mobility, this could be it. Drake pops the Vendetta, pops the kidney shot. The overwhelming damage could potentially be here. Wealthy Man, how are you going to survive? And they do manage to proc the seed. Can they drop it and earn their way into the grand finals? Wealthy Man, can he survive? He's actually healing the seed. I've never seen that before. I have never seen it.
Cubsy casted the wind shear there and just spam regrowth the seed and actually kept it alive. Absolutely insane. This man, this is why we always talk about Cubsy. There's nothing to criticize ever on this guy. He even brings you back to life when you're literally dead. And now Wealthy Man, though, he might need to do it again because Wealthy Man is on another kidney shot here. Wealthy Man taking massive damage. Cubsy has no mana to work with, really. Only about 20 or so % left in the tank. Full blind secure onto Cubsy. Cubsy's going to trinket out and Wealthy Man is going to blink back defensively here. He misses his Dragon's Breath, and now he's got Alter Time active. Can he get some purges onto it? Doesn't look like it. And it looks like Cloud9 will stabilize for now.
Siphene.
There it is. Another Siphene onto Wealthy Man. Nobody's killing it off. Snuts can't do anything about it. Wealthy Man, Triune Barrier, trying to stay alive here. He gets wind sheared. And miraculously, again, Cubsy keeps him alive. So, jeez.
I mean, they're defying death at this point, but they're really just stalling the game. They need to turn this around. They're going after Prev. Prev ducking around the corner, line of sighting Combust and Siphene. Beautiful positioning by Prev here. Now they set up onto Wealthy Man again with a kidney shot. Silence onto Cubsy. Wealthy Man falls behind. He pops out of the blazing barrier, trying to blink to safety. Interrupts Prev. Now looks to reset his cooldowns. Oh, that wind shear on shifting power got some big value. He's not going to reset his barriers fast enough here, and Cubsy's running out of mana. He's desperate. He clones the rogue. He tries to sneak away behind the pillar. Cubsy has to get a drink if he wants to win this game. He's sitting down for one right now, but Brain moves in position, hits him with an Earthbind Totem. Cubsy doesn't get any mana. They pull Wealthy Man back to the pillar during the stun. Cubsy's just desperately trying to find a way to escape, but he's forced to fight. He drops out the Cenarian Ward. Now he's repositioning, trying to get in. Oh, goes in for the stun. Tries to get aggressive with 0 mana left, but Earthenwall Totem is down on Drake. It's absorbing all of the damage onto him. Snuts is falling behind. Prev has damage on the whole team right now. Prev is owning all of Cloud9. Drake's getting dispelled out of polymorphs. They're desperate. They're just trying to pause the fight, but they're all at half health. Cubsy has no cooldowns, no mana, nothing left on his side. He stabilizes Wealthy Man. Snuts trades out Dispersion, and they're slowly clawing themselves back to full health. Cubsy's trying to sneak away, dispelling his dots, positioned very far in the back. Prev tries to snipe him, but Cubsy's so far away. How much mana is Cubsy going to get here? Cubsy's getting a ton of mana off of this drink. Maybe not a ton. Shadow Word Pain just hit him the tiniest bit. Drake suddenly falling behind out of nowhere. Cloud9, they were all at 30% health, 0 mana left, are starting to maybe develop some pressure. They Cyclone Drake, and it's time to run laps on the outside of the arena for Cubsy. He needs to get mana.
Yeah, but I don't know if he's going to have the time to do it. There's a Psychic Core onto Cubsy. Garrote on Snuts. Snuts could get dropped. This is the Iron Bark by Cubsy, but look, it is the Rock coming in as well. Earth Elemental from Brain, an overwhelming amount of damage potentially. Once this Iron Bark fades, I don't know if he's going to have the healing. Snuts is just rotting down. Dampening is going up, and Cubsy has no mana left. Method NA, they just need to go for it. A full blind on Cubsy. There is no way that
he's going to break it. He's going to break it with the Earth Ellie.
He broke it with the Earth Ellie. Cheap shot on Cubsy. Garrote Silence. Kidney shot. The CC is just never ending. Where's the damage? Wealthy Man actually, I believe he used his combustion there to try to get some counter pressure, but it gets dispelled off. This is the Vendetta now rolling by Drake. I can't believe that Cloud9 is still alive. Cubsy pulling out miracles, trying to go for a drink, and they're actually getting some damage here on to Drake. Great job there by Cloud9 trying to reverse the situation, but I fear it might be too little too late. However, Polymorph on Brain,
Spirit Link,
and Spirit Link will get forced out. These teams going so back and forth, but Wealthy Man trying to run. He's got the cauterize though. Cheat death once again. Looks like he will be able to hold on. What is happening? Cloud9 somehow stays alive, but I think they may have run out of lives at this point. Wealthy Man down to 10%. Innervate, regrowth after regrowth. Bash on Drake. They're still running. They're still trying to live with the smoke bomb. Kidney shot closes it out. There'll be no second seed coming in from Wealthy Man. And what a back and forth game that was. Cloud9 pulled out some insane plays to keep themselves in the game for that long. But ultimately, Method NA and their RPS are victorious.
Absolutely insane. You know, even if the game wasn't like super close, this was just insane by Cubsy. I'm just shocked.
Even if they lose, still up talking him.
Of course. I mean, Method NA, you know, they did what they do.